Max Weber was historian, political economist, jurist, and sociologist. Nothing is worthy of man as man unless he can pursue it with passionate devotion. A government is an institution that holds a monopoly on the legitimate use of violence. In a democracy, the people choose a leader in whom they trust. Then the chosen leader says, "Now shut up and obey me." People and party are then no longer free to interfere in his business. The fate of our times is characterized by rationalization and intellectualization and, above all, by the disenchantment of the world.
Power is the chance to impose your will within a social context, even when opposed and regardless of the integrity of that chance. All knowledge of cultural reality, as may be seen, is always knowledge from particular points of view. Man does not by nature wish to earn more and more money. The great virtue of bureaucracy, indeed, perhaps its defining characteristic was that it was an institutional method for applying general rules to specific cases, thereby making the actions of government fair and predictable. Charisma is the gift from above where a leader knows from inside himself what to do. Politics means striving to share power or striving to influence the distribution of power, either among states or among groups within a state. The decisive means for politics is violence. It is not true that good can follow only from good and evil only from evil, but that often the opposite is true. The primary task of a useful teacher is to teach his students to recognize inconvenient facts. I mean facts that are inconvenient for their party opinions. The experience of the irrationality of the world has been the driving force of all religious revolution. A fully developed bureaucratic mechanism stands in the same relationship to other forms as does the machine to the non-mechanical production of goods. Precision, speed, clarity, documentary ability, continuity, discretion, unity, rigid subordination, reduction of friction and material and personal expenses are unique to bureaucratic organization. Culture is a finite segment of the meaningless infinity of the world process, a segment on which human beings confer meaning and significance. The impulse to acquisition, pursuit of gain, of money, of the greatest possible amount of money, has in itself nothing to do with capitalism. This impulse exists and has existed among waiters, physicians, coachmen, artists, prostitutes, dishonest officials, soldiers, nobles, crusaders, gamblers, and beggars. Either one lives for politics or one lives off politics. The fate of our times is characterized by rationalization and intellectualization and, above all, by the disenchantment of the world. Precisely the ultimate and most sublime values have retreated from public life either into the transcendental realm of mystic life or into the brotherliness of direct and personal human relations. It is not accidental that our greatest art is intimate and not monumental. certainly all historical experience confirms the truth that man would not have attained the possible unless time and again he had reached out for the impossible. The ethic of conviction and the ethic of responsibility are not opposites, they are complementary to one another. Every scientific fulfillment raises new questions, it asks to be surpassed and outdated. The summum bonum of this Puritan ethic is the earning of more and more money combined with the strict avoidance of all enjoyment. Causal analysis provides absolutely no value judgment, and a value judgment is absolutely not a causal explanation. The fully developed bureaucratic apparatus compares with other organizations exactly as does the machine with the non-mechanical modes of production. Specialists without spirit, sensualists without heart. This nullity imagines that it has attained a level of civilization never before achieved. Ideas come when we do not expect them, and not when we are brooding and searching at our desks. Yet ideas would certainly not come to mind had we not brooded at our desks and searched for answers with passionate devotion. Whenever known and sufficient causes are available, it is anti-scientific to discard them in favor of a hypothesis that can never be verified. Not everyone realizes that to write a really good piece of journalism is at least as demanding intellectually as the achievement of any scholar. The so-called materialistic conception of history, with the crude elements of genius of the early form which appeared, for instance, in the Communist Manifesto, still prevails only in the minds of laymen and dilettantes. One can say that three preeminent qualities are decisive for the politician: passion, a feeling of responsibility, and a sense of proportion. Daily and hourly, the politician inwardly has to overcome a quite trivial and all too human enemy, a quite vulgar vanity. Precision, speed, unambiguity, knowledge of files, continuity, discretion, unity, strict subordination, reduction of friction and of material and personal costs. These are raised to the optimum point in the strictly bureaucratic administration. Within the confines of the lecture hall, no other virtue exists but plain intellectual integrity. Puritanism carried the ethos of the rational organization of capital and labor. It took over from the Jewish ethic only what was adapted to this purpose. The capacity for the accomplishment of religious virtuosos, the intellectual sacrifice, is the decisive characteristic of the positively religious man. That this is so is shown by the fact that in spite of, or rather in consequence, of theology, which unveils it, the tension between the value spheres of science and the sphere of the holy is unbridgeable. Capitalism may even be identical with the restraint, or at least a rational tempering, of this irrational impulse. But capitalism is identical with the restraint, or at least a rational tempering, of this irrational impulse. But capitalism is identical with the pursuit of profit, and forever renewed profit, by means of continuous, rational, capitalistic enterprise. In the midst of a culture that is rationally organized for a vocational workaday life, there is hardly any room for the cultivation of a cosmic brotherliness, unless it is among strata who are economically carefree. Under the technical and social conditions of rational culture, an imitation of the life of Buddha, Jesus, or Francis seems condemned to failure for purely external reasons.